I will not tolerate such behaviour. No, Sergeant-at-Arms, escort them out.
The Prime Minister's words about King Charles hit Westminster like an explosion. Within minutes, ministers whispered of rebellion, aides ran for cover, and the corridors of power filled with panic. Starmer lost control in front of his own cabinet, shouting, slamming papers, and crossing a line no leader dared touch. Behind palace walls, the King's secret meeting with Nigel Farage was already in motion, a conversation that would soon rewrite Britain's balance of power forever. Starmer's voice rose again, louder this time, carrying a line that would end up written in history books. "If the King wants to play politics, I'll show him how the game is really played." No one moved. Some stared at the floor, others at the door. The cabinet secretary, pale and silent, looked ready to run. Those words broke more than protocol. They shattered the thin fabric that separates the crown from the government. He stormed out, leaving a silence that echoed through Westminster. Within hours, the recording leaked, 12 words that defied a king. By evening, every major newsroom was flashing the same headlines. Prime Minister's furious outburst against King. Shock in cabinet meeting. 2 days earlier, the chain of events had started far from that rage-filled room. Windsor Castle, early evening. The air was cold, the mood heavier than usual. Behind the gates, under the soft glow of chandeliers, King Charles sat across from Nigel Farage and 2 Reform UK strategists. No media, no aides, just quiet voices and guarded expressions. The meeting had not appeared on the royal calendar. A single folder lay on the table, thick, marked, and deliberate. Its title read, "Restoring Britain's Democratic Foundation." Inside were pages that spoke in the language of defiance. It accused Parliament of eroding the balance that had once kept Britain stable. It outlined the idea of rebuilding sovereignty, trimming bureaucracy, and returning power closer to the people. The tone was bold but measured. For a politician, it was a manifesto. For a monarch, it was dynamite. Charles read each page slowly. His eyes moved over words that questioned the very system he represented. He paused at the final section, then looked up at the men before him. "Perhaps it's time for fresh thinking," he said. "The current path seems unsustainable." 12 words. Calm, restrained, spoken in his usual quiet cadence. No drama in the delivery, yet the meaning carried through the room like an echo. Farage nodded once. No one else spoke. The meeting ended without ceremony. 2 hours that would later split a kingdom. The following morning, palace corridors hummed with unease. Staff whispered about what the king might have said. The press office drafted the usual denials, just in case. Officially, the meeting didn't exist. Unofficially, half of Westminster already knew it had happened. Someone had seen the guest car arrive under a covered entry. Someone else recognized an aide from Reform UK stepping into the drawing room. Secrets in London never stay secret for long. 48 hours later, the inevitable happened. The Times published the first piece. King holds private Reform UK talks. Within minutes, BBC and The Guardian followed. Screens in Whitehall flickered with breaking banners. News alerts pinged through the palace press office. Phones started ringing at dawn, and by noon, the story had jumped across every major network. Reform UK issued a statement denying the leak, calling it a distortion. Palace aides denied involvement, insisting the king remained neutral. Downing Street denied nothing. Silence became its own admission. Labour insiders whispered that the story must have come from within their own ranks, a trap meant to discredit Farage, but instead exposing the monarch's private words. Online, the outrage took form. Hashtags like Chano defend the crown and Chano Starmer meltdown surged. Memes flooded feeds. Starmer edited into medieval scenes. Commentators turning the crisis into mockery. Within hours, the political argument became a national obsession. Talk shows ran special panels. Protesters appeared outside Parliament with cardboard crowns and signs reading "Respect the Throne." Royal loyalists gathered outside Buckingham Palace singing the anthem. The story had outgrown politics. It was now a cultural rupture, a question of identity, power, and heritage. What began as 12 measured words spoken in a quiet castle had reached every corner of Britain. It had travelled from Windsor to Westminster, from whispers to uproar. The Crown stood silent under the weight of history, while the government trembled under the weight of its own anger. And through the noise, the question echoed from newsroom to street corner. When a Prime Minister challenges his king, who truly holds the power? Downing Street turned into a fortress. Curtains drawn, phones locked, briefings cancelled. The crisis that began with a single outburst was now tearing through the government like fire through paper. The first resignation landed before sunrise. Transport Secretary Louise Hay walked out after a shouting match behind closed doors. Her letter hit the press before it reached Starmer's desk. I cannot support a leader who shows contempt for the constitutional monarchy and the millions who cherish it. The sentence read like a blade. 2 junior ministers followed within hours. Their resignations arrived one after another, timed like falling dominoes. Inside the party headquarters, aides tried to hold the line, but panic was visible. Senior MPs avoided interviews. Whips stopped answering messages. The Labour machine that once looked unshakable was splintering from within. Angela Rayner moved through Parliament with careful calm. No open rebellion, no fiery speech, just quiet conversations in corridors and private tea rooms. She met with backbenchers, offered reassurance, and spoke of stability. Every handshake counted, every whisper. Built a network. She didn't need to declare ambition. Everyone around her could see it. The deputy was preparing to become the leader. Rachel Reeves remained silent. Reporters waited outside her office, cameras ready. She offered no comment. Her refusal to speak became louder than words. Within the party, that silence was read as a message. She was done defending the Prime Minister. Allies called her restraint dignified. Opponents called it strategic. To those inside the bunker, it was betrayal wrapped in patience. WhatsApp groups multiplied overnight. One began as damage control, another as weekend planning. By morning, both had new names, rescue mission, and next steps. The messages were blunt. Find the numbers, count the signatures, plan the challenge. Every hour, screenshots leaked to journalists, proof that the rebellion wasn't a rumor anymore. Downing Street staff watched screens as headlines updated in real time. Coup underway. Labour ministers move against Starmer. Pollsters published the first results by afternoon. Labour's support plunged to record lows. Public confidence collapsed. In Liverpool, Manchester and Newcastle, voters who once filled rallies now turned off their televisions in disgust. Within 24 hours, the Prime Minister who promised unity faced isolation inside his own walls. Across London, the palace remained still. No statements, no leaks, no denials. The Royal Press Office refused to comment. Behind that silence, a strategy was taking shape. Advisors called it discipline. Political experts called it the most precise act of control in decades. Every hour King Charles stayed quiet, Starmer appeared more volatile. Every day the Crown avoided reaction, the government lost more composure. The King carried on his duties as if nothing had happened. Visits continued. Speeches about climate and service remained unchanged. Cameras caught him greeting children at a community centre with a smile that looked unshaken. The image of calm leadership filled front pages. In contrast, Downing Street windows stayed dark. The difference in energy told the story without a single word spoken. Foreign leaders joined the chorus of condemnation. Justin Trudeau called constitutional monarchy the foundation of stability. Peter Dutton in Australia described Starmer's remarks as disgraceful. American anchors replayed the footage of the outburst and shook their heads. Commentators compared it to Cromwell, to revolutions, to the last time a British leader challenged the throne. Global perception shifted overnight. Political historians noted the reversal. The monarchy, often accused of being symbolic, now looked like the anchor holding the country together. The government appeared erratic, adrift, and tired. For Charles, silence became power. For Starmer, every sentence sounded like defense. Public sympathy moved toward the crown. Opinion pages filled with essays about dignity, restraint, and leadership. By the end of the week, Britain itself began to split. Streets filled with protesters carrying opposing flags. Outside Buckingham Palace, crowds waved banners that read, "Protect the King." In Trafalgar Square, others gathered under signs demanding "End the monarchy." Police formed lines between them as chants clashed across the city. Inside the Labour Party, the coup gathered momentum. Angela Rayner's meetings became strategy sessions. Rachel Reeves counted allies. Diane Abbott, a veteran of the movement, told reporters she had never seen a leader fall apart so fast. The hierarchy of the party was dissolving in real time. Farage watched from a distance, his timing perfect. Standing before Union Jacks, he spoke in calm tones about loyalty and heritage. Reform UK's membership surged overnight. Small donors poured in money. His message was simple: while others attack our king, we defend him. That line replayed on every network, turning a fringe party into a national force. Night fell on London under flashing lights from protests, chants echoing through Whitehall. The country that once prided itself on stability now faced a question that echoed through every conversation, from pubs to parliaments. When a prime minister challenges his king, who truly rules Britain now? Does Starmer survive this, or is his career over? Does Charles stay silent, or is the crown ready to strike back?